In the untamed heart of ancient Central Asia, where howling winds sculpted endless steppes and towering mountains slashed the sky, a warrior queen carved her legend in fire and blood. Tomyris, ruler of the Massagetae, was no mere monarch. She was a force of nature, a mother's wrath incarnate, whose vengeance toppled the greatest conqueror the world had ever known, Cyrus the Great. This is the saga of a woman who defied an empire, avenged her son, and transformed a king's ambition into a timeless warning etched in crimson. Picture the 6th century BCE, an era when Rome was a fledgling village and Athens toyed with democracy's first sparks. Far to the east, Cyrus the Great, the architect of the Persian Empire, wove a dominion that spanned from the shimmering Mediterranean to the rugged Hindu Kush, from the Caucasus's snowy peaks to the Persian Gulf's warm tides. No ruler before him had forged such a vast realm, yet Cyrus was more than a warlord. He was a master of hearts, blending conquest with calculated mercy. When he seized Babylon, he spared its people and unshackled the Jews, earning their reverence. His Cyrus cylinder, a clay decree, it is hailed as the dawn of human rights, a brilliant mask for his boundless ambition. For Cyrus, every victory only stoked his hunger for more lands, more crowns, more glory. In 530 BCE, with kingdoms bowing at his feet, Cyrus cast his gaze northward beyond the Jaxartes River to the wild plains of the Massagetae. These nomads, fierce and free, lived unbound by stone walls, their lives woven into the steppes' harsh rhythm, their only limit the horizon. Leading them was Tomyris, a queen forged in the crucible of loss. Widowed, she did not falter. Unlike queens who merely held thrones for others, Tomyris wielded power with iron resolve, commanding her warriors with a brilliance that silenced doubters. Her people followed her not for her bloodline, but for her unyielding spirit. When Cyrus's envoys arrived, their words dripped with honeyed deceit, a marriage to unite their realms, a promise to preserve her rule as a Persian vassal. To the world, it was a gesture of peace. To Tomyris, it was a gilded cage, a conqueror's ploy to claim her people without a fight. Her refusal was a thunderclap. The Massagetae would kneel to no one, and she would never be his bride. Cyrus, whose name made kings tremble, could not abide this defiance from a savage queen. His pride ignited, he summoned a colossal army, their spears glinting like stars, and set out to crush her. Tomyris, wise as the steppe itself, sent a messenger to Cyrus with a warning that echoed like a storm's first rumble. Great king, turn back. Rule your vast empire and leave my people to their freedom. You cannot know if this path will crown you or destroy you, but I see your soul and it knows no rest. Cyrus, blind to wisdom, scoffed. He built bridges across the Jaxartes, his army flooding into her lands like a tide. But Tomyris did not meet him with reckless force. She knew the steppe's secrets, every ravine, every gust, and she let the Persians march into a land that answered to her alone. Cyrus, ever cunning, devised a trap. Guided by Croesus, the vanquished king of Lydia, now in his service, he exploited the Massagetae's innocence of wine, a drink alien to their ways. His army staged a camp brimming with feasts and vats of wine, then withdrew, leaving only a token force. The plan unfolded perfectly. A band of Massagetae, led by Tomyris' son, Spargapises, stormed the camp, cut down the guards, and unaware of wine's betrayal, drank deeply. As they sank into drunken stupor, Cyrus's forces returned under cover of night, slaughtering the warriors and chaining Spargapises. The young prince, waking to the horror of his failure, pleaded for freedom. When his bonds were loosed, he chose death over dishonor, his lifeblood staining the earth. The news of her son's death struck Tomyris like a spear through the heart. Grief surged, but it did not break her. It sharpened her into a blade of cold, unrelenting fury. She sent a final message to Cyrus, her words a vow carved in ice. You who revel in bloodshed, think you've won by poisoning my son with your treachery. But this is no victory. Leave my lands, and I may spare you for the lives you've stolen. Stay, and by the sun that lights the Massagetae, I will drown you in the blood you so desire. Cyrus, intoxicated by his own myth, laughed off her threat. He had felled empires: Babylon, Lydia, Egypt. A nomadic queen was but another trophy for his crown. What followed was a clash that shook the heavens. Tomyris united every Massagetae tribe, summoning warriors who rode as one with their horses, their arrows striking like vipers from afar. On the open steppe where the wind sang of vengeance, the Persians faltered. Their heavy armor and siege tactics, honed for cities and fields, were useless against the Massagette's lightning-fast strikes. Horsemen swept in loosed volleys of arrows and vanished before the Persians could respond. Cyrus led charges with the ferocity that had built his empire, but he was no match for a queen who fought with a mother's rage, a strategist's mind, and a land that bowed to her will. In the storm of battle, the impossible came to pass. Cyrus the Unconquerable fell. His blood soaked the steppe, his dream of eternal conquest shattered. But Tomyris's vengeance was not yet complete. She ordered her warriors to find his body among the slain. When they brought her his corpse, she severed his head and held it aloft, her eyes burning with a grief-fueled fire. In a wineskin filled with the blood of the fallen, she plunged Cyrus's head, her voice a low, searing proclamation. You crave blood, and now you shall choke on it. This was no act of barbarity. It was justice, a mirror to Cyrus's own deceit. The conqueror who had bathed the world in blood, now drowned in it, his severed head a testament to the cost of arrogance. Herodotus, writing decades later, immortalized this tale, though some question its details. Persian records claim Cyrus was buried in Pasargadae, suggesting his body was reclaimed. Yet the Massagette's might and Tomyris's victory are echoed in sources beyond Herodotus, from Roman historians like Justin to whispered steppe legends. The Greeks' foes of Persia may have amplified the tale to humble their enemy, but the truth shines through. A queen defeated the greatest conqueror of her age. Cyrus's death sent ripples through his empire. His son Cambyses II inherited a throne, but not his father's brilliance. Consumed by Egypt's conquest, he ignored the fractures in his realm, sowing seeds of chaos. Darius the Pharaoh later restored order, but the lesson of the steppe lingered. Tomyris's fate fades into shadow. Some say she ruled in peace, her victory a shield against further invasions. Others whisper of battles with rival tribes. Yet her legacy burns bright in a world that erased women from power. She forced history to remember her name. Tomyris's triumph is a beacon of defiance. She was not just a queen, but a symbol of power unbound by gender or origin. Against the Persian Empire's cities and armies, her nomadic warriors proved that freedom could outmatch might. Her story echoes through history's great reversals. Huns against Rome, Mongols against empires where the uncivilized toppled the civilized. The image of Cyrus's head submerged in blood is a stark reminder: no empire is eternal, no ambition without reckoning. Tomyris did not merely defeat Cyrus. She unmade his myth, turning the conqueror into a warning for all who chase glory without end. In the steppes where the Massagetae once rode, the wind still carries her name. No temples bear her likeness, no cities claim her crown, but Tomyris endures as a flame that cannot be extinguished. She is the mother's cry, the warrior's strike, the queen who proved that even gods among men can fall when they dare to challenge the unbreakable. And so ends the saga of Tomyris, the warrior queen who defied the greatest conqueror of her time and etched her vengeance into the bones of history. Her story is not just one of bloodshed or war, but of a mother's love, a leader's wisdom, and a soul unyielding in the face of empire. In a world where women were often erased or silenced, Tomyris roared louder than kings. She reminds us that true strength does not lie in thrones or armies, but in the courage to stand alone, to protect what matters, and to never bow to injustice. Even today, her legacy whispers across the windswept steppes that no empire is too vast, no name too powerful to escape the reckoning of one unbreakable spirit.